Good morning. We welcome all of you to this session. My name is Ana Jimena Salvador and I have the privilege to moderate Brainstorming Session number 4, Financing for Creative Industries. This brainstorming session is held within the framework of the Global Forum Reconecta Cultura, Trends in the Digital Markets of the Creative Industries and Intellectual Property Rights. We are so thankful with Baker McKenzie Latin America for being our strategic partner and sponsoring this event. Likewise, the Reconecta Cultura Global Forum is part of the parallel forums of Mundiacult of UNESCO and has been organized and idealized by Conecta Cultura, an international company focused on cultural cooperation and social innovation based in Mexico City. I want to give the voice to Julian Rees, partner of Baker McKenzie, expert in intellectual property, who has a welcome message for all of you.
Thank you for the introduction and welcome to everyone. In Baker McKenzie, we are very happy to sponsor the Global Forum Reconecta Cultura as part of the side events of Mundiacult 2022. Baker McKenzie is a law firm with 76 offices in 46 countries, and we are very, very committed with creative industries. All of our offices in the Latin region have a great expertise advising all the participants in this value chain. It is very exciting for us to participate in this brainstorming session, Financing for Creative Industries, with such important panelists from around the world who we welcome. We hope this brainstorming session ends with great conclusions and contributions to the creative industries. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Bon día y buenos días. Estoy hablando en 3 lenguas para saludar porque tenemos panelistas que vienen de diferentes países. Mi nombre es Victoria Contreras y tengo el gusto de darles la bienvenida a esta Brainstorming Session número 4, una brainstorming que fue pensada justamente en una coyuntura que está siendo compleja para las industrias creativas y nos interesa muchísimo que nuestros panelistas nos ayuden a pensar el futuro del financiamiento de las industrias creativas, no solamente en la región de América Latina, sino también en el mundo. Así que sean bienvenidos panelistas que con muchísima generosidad han decidido aceptar estar el día de hoy en este ejercicio de inteligencia colectiva y también a las personas que están conectadas como observadores. Sean todos bienvenidos. Ahora le voy a dar la palabra y el agradecimiento a Juan Gonzalo Flores, Country Manager de la Corporación Financiera Internacional del Grupo de Banco Mundial. Bienvenido, Juan Gonzalo. Muchas gracias por estar aquí.
Gracias, Victoria. Thanks for the invitation. As she has rightly presented me, I am the country manager of IFC in Mexico. You must be wondering what is a development bank such an IFC doing in a sector like the creative industries. And I will say that the answer is quite obvious. The creative industries is one of the fastest growing industries in the whole world. According to the UNESCO, represents 3% of the global GDP, and it means business of around $2 billion annually. Those are the revenues, billions in American terms, that represents this business. So for us, it's a great opportunity for doing more business in the region. For example, in Latin America, only in Latin America, this business, according to investigations of the IDB, that represents $175 billion of revenues, which makes a really good opportunity for IFC to engage in the sector. In addition to that, the industry is one of the largest job providers. And one of the most important features is that provide job opportunities for people aged 18 to 25 years old. So this is the industry of the future. According to other statistics, in some countries, like in Brazil, the creative industry represents 10% of the GDP. Just to have a sort of comparison, the tourism sector in Mexico represents 9% of the GDP. So for Brazil, this is a great source of income. So it's quite an interesting opportunity. We cannot deny the competitive advantage that the creative industries has in Latin America. Who has not heard to talk about the film industry in Mexico? with such a great directors like Guillermo del Toro, Alfonso Cuarón, Alejandro González Iñárritu, etc. The film industry in Argentina and Mexico are industries that are booming. In addition to that, the music, Bob Marley in Jamaica, Rihanna, Shakira, Carlos Vives, Maluma, etc. Mariachis. I think Latin America is quite well positioned for this activity. In addition to that, we have all the culinary. I don't know if you follow the 50 best restaurants in the world. Mexico and Peru always score high. Who can imagine that Gaston Acurio, a private entrepreneur and cocinero, as he likes to call himself, has started a huge industry in Peru. Now there is a culinary tourism growing fast in Peru, and many other people follow that path. Also, movies like Coco or Encanto have positioned Mexico and Colombia much more than any other activity. So for us, it's very important to participate in this industry. But one word of caution is that the creative industries alone will not make it. I think we need to relate it or to link to other already established industries such as tourism or infrastructure. If we are able to do that, I think it's going to represent great opportunity for development in our countries and a great opportunity for business for institutions like IFC. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan Gonzalo, and thank you, Juan, who I want to clarify that it's an associate of Baker McKenzie. Now, I want to welcome our panelists and brainstormers. They are Mateo Londoño, Legal Director of Proimagenes, Colombia. Hernán Fernández Lamadrid, Managing Partner of Angel Ventures. Jorge Pinto, Director of Culture Planning and Development of the United Arab Emirates. Trinidad Zaldívar, Chief of Cultural Affairs, Solidarity and Creativity, Inter-American Development Bank. Paola Mejía, Head of Employment, Entrepreneurship and Business Development of COMFAMA. Francisco Cano, Director of Capital Nation Colombia. Nicolás Mendoros, Senior Executive Development and Creative Economies of CAF, Development Bank of Latin America. And Gabriel Gómez Giglio, Principal of Baker McKenzie. I would like to explain you the dynamic of the brainstorming session number 4, Financing for Creative Industries. The dynamic consists in 2 rounds of questions that will be formulated, and each panelist would have a maximum of 2 minutes to answer each one in the order I just presented you. First, Mateo Londoño. Second, Hernán Fernández Lamadrid. Third, Jorge Pinto. 4, Trinidad Zaldívar. 5, Paola Mejía. 6, Francisco Cano. 7, Nicolás Mendoros. And 8, Gabriel Gómez Giglio. The first question is, why it is important to invest in creative industries, and what are the challenges of reconciling economy and culture? Now I want to give the voice to Mateo Londoño to answer question number 1.
All right, thanks, and hello to everybody. I want to focus on one main aspect of, or let's say a reason to invest in the creative industries. Juan Gonzalo was actually talking about the significance of the creative industries in terms of growth and economic value. But I want to focus on one aspect, and it's that of the cultural value, because it has been a concept every day more investigated, every day more relevant and significant. For example, the UK has been studying the concept of cultural value, I believe, since 2012. They actually have now a center dedicated to this topic, and it's quite relevant because we're talking about every form of value that is different to the economic one. It can cover educational value. It can cover the role that the creative industries have in shaping our knowledge and our understanding of the world. It has many other forms of value that at the end become a very good reason for investment. For example, UNESCO recently, in his report of everything that happened before the pandemic, the reshaping policies for creativity. In this report, UNESCO said that the creative sector proved to be an instrument of social cohesion, educational resource, and well-being. This is the kind of value that I want to bring when I talk about cultural value. So that is like the first the focus of my answer in why it is important to invest in the creative industries. And as to the challenges of reconciling economy and culture, I believe that we have many challenges, and this is a long-term discussion. It has been present since the mid 1950s, I believe, or 60s, probably. But I would mention three main points. First, I believe that
Oh, thank you so much, Mateo Londoño.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
Now I want to give the voice to Hernán Fernández Lamadrid.
Thank you very much. Thank you everybody for the invitation, and I'm pleasure to join. My name is Hernán Fernández, and I'm a managing partner for Angel Ventures. We are an early stage venture investing fund out of Mexico City, but investing throughout Latin America, focus on Pacific Alliance countries of Mexico, Chile, Colombia, Peru, and now for a new fund, we're actually targeting also Hispanic US and the rest of Latin America, including Brazil. So it's a very daunting challenge. That being said, creative industries, it's at the core of what we are doing. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Like some of my colleagues have been exposing, the wealth of creative industries in the region is just so vast, going from cinemas to to restaurants to food or whatever. And what's challenging, from the venture perspective, is how you can actually kind of like standardize the metrics in order to be able to invest into some of these, right? Because when you usually see a pitch, there's so much passion from the creator or the artist itself, and it's really hard to how to envision that into an investment product, right? But that being said, we just invested, for example, into this company called Trendio, which aims to be like the new evolution of social TV, dealing with influencers, right? Which is very questionable if we can call them artists, but that being said, certainly creative industries, right? And it's growing just so fast. And yeah, how to kind of like parameterize or kind of like make that investment homogeneous. It's something that's very challenging, but we keep seeing that more and more in Latin America. Also, some of the artists, we see this very commonly, across entrepreneurial ecosystems, where early stage entrepreneurs that have a successful exit are now investing into the new wave, right? And it's very pleasant to see, like artists like Maluma or Shakira or whatever, now investing in a new batch of, like different creative industries. They're very focused on that. But also, like The Weeknd or international artists are investing into Latin America. So I think is that a chime or something that I'm hitting my time? But that being said, it's something that will continue to evolve, and again, Andres Carneres and so many examples that will further elaborate.
Thank you so much. Now I would like to give the voice to Jorge Pinto.
Hi. Well, good evening for me. Good morning to all of you. Going directly to your question. So I think we have to distinguish the public investment and the private investment. I think from a public investment, culture has demonstrated that has a social value, has demonstrated that has a public value, and this is why there should be a public investment in culture, the same way that there is a public investment in health, the same way there's a public investment in education, and the same way that there are public policies. From a pure market-driven perspective or business perspective, of course, there should be an investment in culture because it has been proved that it is a good business in many cases. It creates unique offers, it creates unique competitive advantages, and so it creates a good business. And it's normally businesses that cannot be easily transferable, copied, or I would say imitated generally in other regions. They tend to be very specific. The second part of your question, reconciling economy and culture, in many cases, in fact, culture has been at the forefront. So if we think of the challenge we have with IP in culture and how do we exploit and create IP value from culture, culture has been at the forefront. And in fact, it has been the economy that has not been able to respond to these and to develop the appropriate business tools and instruments. So in some cases, I think that culture is at the forefront, creating new business models, new funding models, new ways of working and collaborating. And the economy needs to go with these developments in culture. So let's not just think of economy reconciling with culture, but culture also reconciling with economy.
Thank you so much. I want to repeat the question, and it is why it is important to invest in creative industries and what are the challenges of reconciling economy and culture. Now I want to give the voice to Trinidad Zaldívar.
Hi, good morning and good afternoon for everybody. For the Inter-American Development Bank, this is right now it's like a no-brainer. Why to invest in the creative industries? And as many others have said, it is known the value of culture and what the culture means for the economy, but also for the society. And if I can say like 4 main things. One of the things is, especially right now with the situation of the region after the COVID, the pandemic, or during, we never know when it would end, but it creates employment and it's intensive in employment creation, especially the ones that require talent. So this is an important thing, and also it also employs more young people and women. That is also interesting for us. These industries naturally bring innovation to the economies, and that is something that is fantastic for the region in general and for the countries. They also, the creative industries, they help to diversify our productive matrix, something that is super necessary, especially after the commodities trend really went down, and right now we need a different and much more diverse economy from our countries to really be competitive in a global scene. Fourth, it also, we think that Latin America and the Caribbean is a global, can offer themselves their own products as a global opportunity. We know that there is a high demand for services and goods in the creative industries, and Latin America and the Caribbean, we can do much more in terms of this. And so those are the most important things. And we think that culture and creativity should and must be at the center of the development strategies of the countries. In terms of what to do with this relationship between culture and economy, I think we need to build a strong narrative that really relate both of them, because for many people they are like two separate things. Culture is always something, it's not an investment. It's not something that will bring back to the economy. So these are the things that we have to build stronger, a stronger narrative, and that we'll do it with good examples that we have already, but also by creating more data and numbers that could really help in this narrative for the countries.
Thank you so much, Trinidad. Now I want to give the voice to Paola Mejía.
Hola, buenos días. Primero quiero presentarles excusas porque he tenido problemas con la cámara y el audio. Yo soy Paola Mejía de Colombia, trabajo en COMFAMA y yo creo que la cultura hay que verla desde 2 ámbitos distintos. El primero es el valor social y patrimonial que tiene la cultura para todos los territorios. El valor que tiene en la educación sin la cultura, pues carece de muchos elementos fundamentales para poder ser efectivo. Y en esa medida y desde este punto de vista, la inversión en la cultura es fundamental. Invertir en la cultura es invertir en nuestra sociedad, invertir en nuestra educación, invertir en nuestro patrimonio cultural y por lo tanto es fundamental y necesaria una inversión decidida del sector público, sobre todo, para desarrollar, digamos, mejores escenarios de futuro como sociedad, como seres humanos, y ahí la inversión en la cultura es fundamental. Yo creo que es un error grandísimo cuando algunas administraciones públicas deciden bajar los presupuestos a la cultura porque están atentando directamente con nuestro patrimonio cultural y social, y pues podemos ver ejemplos fundamentales donde la cultura no solo nos ha permitido reimaginar el futuro como sociedad, sino también que tiene elementos fundamentales en la resiliencia, y lo vemos en dos ejemplos pues, que tenemos acá en este panel, México y Colombia, que hemos tenido procesos de violencia fuertísimos y que definitivamente ha sido la cultura la que nos ha permitido reimaginarnos como sociedad, salir adelante y buscar nuevos escenarios de desarrollo y de convivencia. Entonces, por ese lado, la inversión en cultura pues, es infantable, es impensable pensar que algunos gobiernos locales o nacionales puedan tomar decisiones de bajarle presupuesto a la cultura. Y por el otro lado, la cultura como sector económico. Nosotros desde COMFAMA estamos convencidos que la cultura genera muchísimos empleos, genera muchísimos ingresos y genera unos empleos además con una calidad conectada con el propósito de vida de las personas que es fundamental apoyar. Así como apoyamos otros sectores como el sector agropecuario, por ejemplo, Colombia, café, así como apoyamos otros sectores como mineros, petroleros, o como apoyamos el sector comercio, apoyar la cultura, las industrias creativas, invertir recursos importantes en el desarrollo de capacidades de estas industrias es fundamental porque además permite tener unos ejercicios importantes de formalización laboral y empresarial. Voy a dar un ejemplo muy sencillo. Y es que Medellín, que es la ciudad de donde yo vivo, es una ciudad muy fuerte en música urbana, es muy conocida en el mundo por el reggaetón, y parte del ejercicio, del reto que nosotros tenemos acá es invertir y fortalecer estas industrias porque generan muchos ingresos, y en la medida en que no fortalezcamos esta industria, pues serán muy pocos la parte de estos ingresos que se quedará en la ciudad generando bienestar y desarrollo para los mismos creadores y para toda la cadena de valor. Entonces, aquí no solo hablamos entonces de inversión pública, sino también inversión privada. Nosotros somos una organización que trabajamos por las empresas y por los trabajadores de las empresas, y en ese orden de ideas nos ocupamos de generar, fortalecer estas industrias que le generan no solo empleo de calidad, generan ingresos, sino que también pues se cruzan con todo este valor social que les comenté al principio que tiene la cultura en la sociedad y en el patrimonio. Entonces, para mí es importante invertir en la cultura, no solo como un valor social y patrimonial de la sociedad, sino también como esas industrias que generan ingresos, que generan empleos y que por tanto le generan calidad de vida a los territorios.
Thank you so much. Now I want to give the voice to Francisco Cano.
Hi, good morning. This is Francisco Cano from Colombia. I'm director of Capital Nation Colombia, which is a platform that is created to be the engine of financing for the creative economy, actually. And well, let's start. Many things have been said that it's important to create this whole movement of investment in this culturing and this patrimony. But let's talk about business. And we're looking for money. We're looking for ventures that look for this economy as a profitable business. So here in Capital Nation Colombia, we've been structuring projects that are looking for money for the finance sector to be invested in this industry. And one of the main reasons that we do that here is because we found it, and a lot of studies have that industrial economy and creative economies and cultural economies are not industries that move along with the economic movement in the world. There's not a correlation between them. So it's a great opportunity. I mean, in cases of maybe recessions or maybe crisis, it's been proved that an intellectual property, for example, it's a good example of how the money can be invested and keep it as a warrant, as a very trustable asset that some investor can be found a shelter for these moments of crisis. And I would like to refer to the second part of the question, is what is the big challenge here? And we've here found that there's actually two things that each industry, the finance and the creative, has to put on a shelf. And one of these is that the economy has to understand that this is an economy that has been functioning since the same conception of the economy itself, and it's demonstrated the capacity for sustainability, and both as a business and a contribution for humanity. So it has the ability to sustain over time. And on the other side, the industrial creatives, and Paola just said, I mean, there's a lot of things that help that creative industry now access to information to make decisions. But it's important that these industries, not just the big enterprises, but all the entrepreneurs formalize their business so they can provide the information, to have perfect information to give to the market and to the financial market, so they can correlate finally and understand each other. And we, as I said, we have found a very interesting way that they can understand, and they can actually find ways to for one side finance, and for other like get funding and actually get profit. That's the whole reason of the list. So I mean, we have to talk about money here because that's where are we looking forward right now in this kind of brainstorming. So yeah, that's what I think about it.
Thank you so much. Now I want to give the voice to Nicolás Mendioros.
Bueno, ¿qué tal? Buen día, buenas tardes para todos. A ver, desde CAF estamos con una incipiente agenda de apoyo a lo que son las economías y la industria creativa y cultural. Estamos convencidos que tienen un gran potencial para generar desarrollo social y cambiar la vida de las personas. Ya gran parte de los panelistas que estuvieron antes que yo estuvieron hablando de la importancia, y solo para complementar algunos datos como los que dio Juan Gonzalo, hoy en Spotify, en el top global, tenemos a 10 artistas latinos, con lo cual hay un gran potencial que tenemos que ver cómo se transforma en negocios, y como decía anteriormente Francisco, cómo desde la banca podemos financiar estos sectores para realmente lograr que se generen las transformaciones y los cambios. Desde el banco estamos impulsando un modelo en el cual nos estamos apalancando en técnicas de listening para ir a los territorios y desde ahí buscar cuáles son las vocaciones que esos territorios tienen en el sector, para no ir muchas veces con respuestas de otros lugares y tener una visión territorial de desarrollo. Y claramente el principal desafío, y parte lo decía Trinidad, está en cómo generamos datos para realmente lograr que los decisores de políticas públicas, en nuestro caso nuestros principales interlocutores, que son los ministros de Hacienda, comprendan la importancia que tiene este sector a la hora de generar empleo de calidad, el empleo del futuro, y que nos permita financiar este tipo de proyectos. Y en general hacemos un paralelismo con lo que ha sido en el pasado todo el tema del financiamiento del cambio climático, y cómo hoy está sobre la mesa y se han generado instrumentos innovadores para financiarlo. Creemos que el sector cultural tiene que ir por el mismo camino, y en ese sentido, si bien no dejamos para nada de lado el valor social que tiene el sector cultural, creo que tenemos que hacer muchísimo hincapié en la capacidad de generar empleo que tienen, y queda claro, ¿no? La región, principalmente CAF, trabaja solamente en América Latina y el Caribe. Se ha debatido mucho con el tema de la educación, con el tema de de la salud, con lo cual pensar que vamos a lograr movilizar recursos para financiar el sector solamente por el valor social o principalmente por el valor social, si bien consideramos que es importante, creemos que también tenemos que apalancarnos en la capacidad de generar empleo y de generar una transformación social en los territorios. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. Now it's time for Gabriel Gómez Giglio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Gabriel Gómez Giglio. I'm a principal with Baker McKenzie based in Buenos Aires, and I have the distinguished pleasure to serve as chair of the banking and finance practice in LATAM. I don't want to over-repeat my colleagues and former panelists, but what we're seeing here for Baker McKenzie is that creative industries is one of the fastest growing industries all over. And we have seen several clients of ours working in this space, investing in LATAM companies, adding value, not only financially, but also based on expertise and many other needs. We understand that it provides a unique and incredible opportunity to invest in LATAM region, which is no longer an agro-industry region. It's a region that has already been delivering in technology, in finance, in art, in sports, in tourism, and many other components to add value to the world economy. And one of the most important things to understand also is this is an industry not considering only new generations, but also considering the elderly and providing a unique opportunity for D&I in the region and for many investors. Overall, I guess it's a great opportunity, and this is something that we are seeing growing in this space very actively for many new players to come to the region.
Thank you so much, Gabriel Gómez Giglio. I want to also apologize to Mateo because I cut off your time sooner. So would you like to explain us the rest of the 3 points you were talking us about?
Oh, thanks, Anna. No, don't worry. I think it's been sufficiently. It has to do with part of what everyone said. So I think we can move on. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect. So I would like to go to question number 2, and this is, how should creative digital industries perform financially compared to traditional markets? And I want to give the voice to Mateo Londoño.
Well, I believe that this is a key question since we talked about. I believe everyone talked about the economic importance of the creative industries. I'd like to point out, let's say, 2 basic aspects. First, I believe that this performance of the creative industries require adaptability. Because we're talking about a market that it's very it has a very fast pace in change. Everything has a short span of life. Everything is moving very fast. So any company who is going to engage in a digital market has to show adaptability. This is we're talking about an amorphous, global, intangible, knowledge-driven market. So this is a key aspect. And the second point that I would like to share with you is the one related to marketing. Every single one of the creative industries who wants to perform financially and who wants to perform in a good way from the financial point of view, it has to engage with marketing, because it's key and it has a growing importance in this term. We're talking about a huge market. We're talking about a market that has an abundance in offers and alternatives. That marketing becomes a key aspect. We can see that in many cases, the budget that a producer, for example, may assign for marketing, it could be bigger than the production budget itself. And I'm not saying that this is general rule, but for example, in the video games industry, this is a this is a common practice, let's say. In the film industry, not so much, but we're talking about amounts of money for marketing that are growing every day. So this is a key aspect. So to round up, I'm talking about adaptability and marketing or emphasis in marketing for these industries to perform in a good way in the digital markets.
Thank you so much. Now I want to give the voice to Hernán Fernández Lamadrid.
Thank you. I think this is this is a very interesting topic, right? What we're seeing is that there's certainly a lot of opportunities for creative industries, particularly in the current scenario where everything's going digital, right? And obviously the metaverse represents like a once in a lifetime opportunity for all of these like creative industries or creative minds to actually kind of become more and more relevant in the digital world, and the opportunity with non-fungible tokens or NFTs, among many other, it's just uncanny. What for example, we just invested into a company called Unio, and they're into the video game space, and their value proposition is very interesting because they're seeing that customers in the metaverse or video games or whatever are looking for more and more personalized experiences. So what they enable you to do is, if your dream car is, I don't know, a Mustang 76, they will enable you to digitize that asset in order for you to play a different landscape of video games using that same asset. So, I mean, technically, if Nintendo will allow it, you could play Mario Kart in your, very own Chevy or Mustang 76, right? So, I think that this is very interesting because the amount of wealth in terms of creation that our countries have, it's just massive, and customers out there are looking for more and more, and particularly Gen Zs, even more so than millennials, are looking for hyper personalization, right? So if you have this influx of all of these content creators and artists and musicians and whatever, and what's going to happen in the metaverse, where it's not about just having your emoji or whatever, having like a Louis Vuitton bag. You want this special segment of a Louis Vuitton bag, right? Or you want to have that special edition, or or very own digital print or artwork or whatever. So I think that this represents a very interesting way on how to really connect between the digital world and content creators, and NFTs obviously represent an unheard opportunity of how to monetize that content. And we're seeing, all this, encumbrance of DAOs and many others that are starting to look into these trends. And again, very exciting to be into this industry right now because of the conflux of metaverse, NFTs, and hyper customization, and the trends that we're seeing among, the consumer population.
Thank you so much. Now I want to give the voice to Jorge Pinto. Jorge, can you activate your audio? We cannot hear you.
I think I've done it. Yes. I think you should be able to see it to me. So I was first saying that the first thing is that several studies have demonstrated that the digital industries or the cultural and creative industries that have outperformed the traditional industries. So that means that they are both financially, employment, in terms of sustainability, becoming more resistant and better than the traditional industries. The second food for thought would be that we are no longer seeing traditional industries because all industries are becoming digital. So that separation between creative digital industries versus traditional industries is becoming very blurred. So, for example, if you nowadays, I've just seen this, we had a craft market, and we had several buyers that bought the craft product together with the film and the author in digital, so through an NFT, So they are no longer interested in buying just the physical product, they are buying the digital product. So we are seeing more and more of these situations. I just feel that what we see is a normal performance of a relatively new segments of these digital industries. I think we have to be a little bit more specific when we use these terminologies, because when we talk about digital industries, or even if we talk about cultural and creative industries, what we also see is that each of these sub-segments perform very differently. So we should not talk about this in generic terms. We really have to think, if we're talking about the cinema, if we're talking about software, if we're talking about, depending on what we're talking about, the performance exercise needs to be careful. So just some food for thought. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Now it's turn for Trinidad Zaldívar.
Yeah, thank you. And well, I could talk forever about this issue, but I will keep my minutes. But one of the things that is interesting, probably what Jorge was saying, is we're talking here, we identify 38 subsectors in the creative industry. So they're very different. So we're talking about things that are completely different, like video games or arts and crafts. So there's a lot of, and also this boundary that is blurred right now is really interesting. One of the things that we saw during the pandemic, and in a study that we did with the Mercosur Cultural, UNESCO, CEGIP, and OEI, was that the sectors that were less technified or less into the digital world, they were the ones that innovate the most. And this is something that we need to keep this innovation process in these very traditional sectors for this economy that is going to this digitization in general. But for this, one of the things that we identify also is that there are two things that are really important, especially thinking from a development bank. Is one of the things is invest in infrastructure, digital infrastructure, because if not, we are not going to do anything in the region. We are not going to be competitive in global markets, and we need to invest in infrastructure. But also we need to invest in training, not only for the people that works in the digital economy, but for the whole value chain. So for artisans, for everybody, so they need to be literate in this digital economy as a whole. And this is something that the governments, they have to invest on this because most of them during the pandemic, they have to move from zero to digitize without having the tools to do that. So they did it how they thought it was okay, but right now there is an opportunity to really invest on this. And also something that is important is also to create a framework, because it would be needed like regulations and a legal framework that would protect our creators, our artists in this new economy that for many is really, really new, and to make sure that artists and creators and creative people, they get paid for their services and products. And this is something that is today, is an important discussion that we have to have and be really innovative in the way we create this framework for our countries.
Thank you so much, Trinidad. Now it's time for Paola Mejía.
Bueno, yo creo que aquí hay, en el tema digital hay una oportunidad gigante, no solo para las industrias creativas y culturales, sino para todos los sectores, tan grande que no hemos logrado dimensionar hasta dónde puede llegar. Yo creo que la pandemia nos empezó a mostrar otras fronteras de oportunidad que no teníamos tan claras. Y específicamente la industria creativa y cultural, pues nos permite ver que va más allá del cine, va más allá de la música, donde ya teníamos unos ejercicios digitales avanzados. Y un poco como lo decía Hernán, el metaverso casi que es el mundo del todo es posible. ¿cierto? Y yo creo que se empiezan a generar unos escenarios muy importantes para otros sectores distintos a música y a cine, que donde está el reto fundamental es el de monetización. Digamos, en pandemia, a todos nos tocó volcarnos a lo digital. El cultural, pues sí que es cierto, le tocó volcarse por la pérdida de todos los espectáculos en vivo y espectáculos públicos. Y para nosotros, por ejemplo, en Colombia, el gran reto fue acompañar a las industrias creativas en, listo, ¿cómo te digitalizas, pero cómo monetizas eso? Para que efectivamente, pues la gente se beneficie de tu valor, de tu propuesta, pero que tú como organización también tengas la posibilidad de encontrar escenarios de rentabilidad y de sostenibilidad. Yo les voy a contar un ejemplo muy sencillo, y es, en pandemia yo tuve la oportunidad de, en el marco de un festival de teatro, que tenía un reto grandísimo, es el Festival de Teatro de Manizales, de volverse digital, y tuve la oportunidad de presenciar una obra de teatro única y exclusivamente para mí, digamos, era personalizada para todos quienes se inscribían. Y yo recibí una llamada de la actriz, y luego recibí un correo electrónico con un poema, y luego me conectaron a Spotify para una canción, y luego me llegaban unas imágenes a mi celular de eso que este grupo de teatro estaba haciendo para mí. Entonces fue volver al teatro, que es esencialmente una actividad, digamos, presencial, hermosa, llena de poesía, llena de emociones para quienes lo presenciamos, pues volverlo absolutamente digital. Ese fue para mí una experiencia grandiosa que me mostró que todas las industrias creativas podrían volcarse a lo digital, pero sobre todo tener escenarios de monetización. Y ahí tendremos que ponernos a pensar en otros escenarios, como la poesía, como, la literatura también tiene muchas posibilidades digitales, pero por ejemplo la gastronomía, la joyería, el diseño, cómo llegar a esos escenarios. El metaverso nos muestra muchas cosas, también muchos peligros, diría yo, pero sobre todo yo creo que aquí hay un trabajo importante por conversar y explorar de cómo todas las industrias creativas podrían tener escenarios de desarrollo en lo digital, siempre cuidando el tema de monetización.
Thank you so much, Paola. Now I want to give the voice to Francisco Cano.
Okay, so I'm gathering some things that I already said here, and the digital especially is the most important for us, because the digital monetization is being handled by third parties, and that makes possible that it can be considered as a warrant of future projections and future assets that can be actually funded through this study of the data that is being monetized. So this is financially, when you see it in the financial market, this is considered as a good thing, because it's not the entrepreneur or the company that is handling its information, but it's a third party that is handling the money. So that can be in a lot of industries can be considered as a warrant for our business. In this way, having in the other way, having the basics of terms in informalization and terms of financial and tax information from companies, it is possible to compile consolidated databases that will be able to draw projections and curves that can be analyzed and make patterns of this. At this time, it's not entirely possible because, for example, the jealousy of some companies to share this information and to get the whole industry to know about this. And this is a cultural matter here in Latin America. But this is something that one of the things that has to be changed very soon to be considered as a great industry and as a business opportunity. But having this information, perfect information for both industry agents and the creative economy in general, we have found that it's possible to set up future markets, securitizations, clearing houses, discount of invoice and contracts, and even interested in investments, both in mixed income terms or maybe sharing risk. Because of these guarantees that can be configured through these projections and these future monetizations, and obviously getting very similar to a financial market and financial vehicles that actually work in the other industry.
Perfect, thank you so much. Now I want to give the voice to Nicolás Mendioros.
Bueno, antes que nada, caracterizar que la falta de financiamiento para muchas de las empresas de la región es absolutamente transversal, ¿no? La mayoría de las pymes en América Latina y el Caribe enfrentan grandes desafíos para acceder al financiamiento. Y esto no es potestad exclusiva del sector cultural, ni siquiera de las nuevas industrias digitales, sino que tiene que ver con una dificultad muchas veces del sector bancario de entender a las pymes y al funcionamiento y muchas veces de estas pymes de cómo acercarse. Una falta ahí de la oferta y la demanda no se encuentran. Cuando trabajamos en bancos muchas veces escuchamos que hacen falta proyectos y cuando se trabaja en el sector empresarial que hace falta financiamiento. De alguna manera ver cómo hacer converger oferta y demanda es uno de los grandes desafíos que tenemos en la región y puntualmente en el sector de las industrias culturales y creativas desde siempre ha estado. Ya en los 90 en Londres, en el Reino Unido, uno veía que estaban tratando de definir este sector para ver cómo el sector financiero empezaba a financiarlo más. Entonces ahí tenemos un gran desafío. Yo tomo algunas palabras que se han dado anteriormente de adaptabilidad, de sectores, de heterogeneidad. Hay casos de éxito como el Fondo de Garantía Recíproca que implementó Madrid recientemente, que es un caso que deberíamos buscar traer a la región, no solamente para el sector audiovisual, sino de manera transversal para los sectores culturales. Nosotros desde CAF venimos trabajando en Argentina hace muchos años con las sociedades de garantía recíprocas, ayudándolos muchas veces con esquemas de contragarantías para ingresar, o first loss, depende del instrumento, pero para ingresar a sectores un poco más riesgosos. Pero sin duda, los bancos en general y la banca de desarrollo en particular necesita reinventarse para adaptarse a nuevos paradigmas que ponen en jaque su modelo de negocio tradicional. Básicamente, la principal cartera no soberana que tiene CAF es el sector infraestructura, mediante asociaciones públicas privadas, donde de alguna manera u otra se está financiando también al sector público, con lo cual esto de asumir riesgos, de entrar en sectores difíciles. Yo estaba escuchando hablar recién a mis colegas del metaverso y cómo los millennials quieren comprar cosas en ese mundo ya paralelo. Realmente llevar eso a mi comité de crédito me parece aún más surreal que pensarme a mí viviendo en ese mundo, ¿no? Y no soy tan grande, no soy millennial o centennial, pero pego ahí en el palo, con lo cual creo que ahí hay un gran desafío para todas las instituciones de reinventarnos, de empezar a ver este sector con otros ojos y de buscar mecanismos para que podamos financiarlo, porque realmente la necesidad de financiamiento y el potencial es enorme, pero también es difícil cómo asumir ese riesgo desde los bancos. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. Now I want to give the voice to Gabriel Gómez Giglio.
Thank you so much. And again, I don't want to repeat, but basically what we are hearing from clients that basically in this space, the financial gains are pretty good, are basically overperform other sectors. But considering that I guess I'm the only lawyer among the panelists, I want to pick up on Trinidad's point, because investors as well as creators assume that we're having a regulatory and legal playing field in which everyone is comfortable for making those investments, for making those creations, for everyone in this space to be confident to develop whatever the activity that they will perform. And one of the challenges that we got in this region is to be up to the level, to take the level to the next comfort that we need to provide for those investors, for those players in this space, to be confident that these investments will be respected, for those creations to be respected, for everyone to play safe in this environment. And we have to learn for other experiences and capitalize on that. I guess it's one of the challenges that we as players in the LATAM region have, and I will encourage everyone to do so.
Thank you so much. I would like to ask our observers to answer a short survey about brainstorming session number 4. It is a pop-up, it will appear a pop-up window in your screen and it will take you 5 minutes to complete it. I want to thank you, all of you, for your answers to these questions and the contribution of the brainstormers. And I would like to summarize the most relevant points about this round of questions. For question number 1, why it is important to invest in creative industries and what are the challenges of reconciling economy and culture? The importance rests on the cultural value as to its relevance and significance. Culture is an instrument of social cohesion. It is a vast industry within the region. Creative industries challenge its standardization for investment. We have to distinguish public and private investment, public policies or education, but from the private view, it has been proven as a good business. Culture has been at the forefront of the economy, however, has not been able to respond accordingly. It is known the value of culture, for example, that these industries created employment during the pandemic times, and they promote innovation, and they are able to diversify the markets, so they should be part of the center of the economy. Culture should be seen from the heritage angle and promoting public investment to encourage history, but from the financial side, creating employment opportunities. For example, the one they hear about Medellin with their music industry. From the business perspective, culture industries investors focus on profits. Even in crisis settings, culture industries have been proven to be a good relief measure. Culture industries can change people's lives. They have a potential to promote social transformations in depth. A challenge is to generate appropriate data for investors to understand and finance those businesses. Creative industry is one of the fastest growing industries worldwide. They provide an incredible intergenerational opportunity for investors. About how should creative digital industries perform financially compared to traditional markets questions, the main points were 2 main aspects: adaptability and marketing. Given that anything is turning digital, the public are looking for experiences rather than anything else. The challenge is to monetize this content. Digital industries have demonstrated resistance to the challenge. These are in traditional industry and the way they work are completely different. Rather than competing markets, they are looking for new forms of markets. Creative industries are different among them. We have a lot of subsectors which are such different that it is complex for investing, which implies investment in infrastructure, training, or regulating frameworks would work. There is a huge room for opportunity far beyond the film and theater industries. During the pandemic, the digitalization of contents faced a challenge for marketing these activities profitable. The key is digital monetization. The lack of investment within the sectors isn't restrictive to cultural industries. Sometimes banks aren't able to understand the way this business works. Banks need to reconfigure their model to understand them. Both investors and creators are facing the same challenge, taking the tech environment to the next level. I would like to thank you, all of you, for your participation in these important points. And I would like to invite our panelists and attendees to turn on your camera and take a group photo. So if you can smile for the camera. Thank you so much. Now it's time to say farewell. So I would like to thank Baker McKenzie Latin America for being our strategic partner and sponsoring this event. Likewise, the Reconecta Cultura Global Forum, that is part of the parallel forums of Mundiacult of UNESCO, and has been organized and idealized by Conecta Cultura, an international company focused on cultural cooperation and social innovation based in Mexico City. I want to thank our panelists and observers to be with us today, and I invite you to follow the digital activities of the Reconecta Cultura Global Forum, trends in the digital markets of the creative industries, and intellectual property rights. I want to remind you that the Reconecta Cultura Global Forum will have its face-to-face version on September 22 and September 23 of 2022 at the Santander Cultural Complex in Guadalajara, and that the digital publication of the brainstorming sessions will be presented there. The brainstorming session number 5 will be about sustainability and innovation in the creative industries and will be held on Wednesday, August 10th, 2022 at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. in Mexico City time. Reconecta Cultura social networks like Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, you will be able to find them at reconectacultura.com. So thank you so much for everything and see you next time.